Welcome to Polyglot podcast. I'm Christian, and today we have a special guest from Mariel Republic who lives in Germany now, Valeri or Valera. So can you introduce yourself shortly?
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be here to talk about Marie. So it's my first podcast. I hope you will enjoy. So I am originally from Mariel Republic. This is a state in Russia, located around 5-6 kilometers toward east from Moscow. I studied astrophysics and astronomy at the Moscow State University, and since 2014 I am here in Germany. I got my PhD at the University of Heidelberg in astronomy, and currently I am astrophysicist. I am a researcher at the Max Planck Institute for Solar System Research here in Göttingen in Lower Saxony.
I actually found out about you from my former guest Alexandra, with whom I spoke in German, and yeah, she told you. I can't remember how, but when I heard that an astrophysicist who's originally from Mariel Republic, I immediately told that I want to hear more, because in this podcast I don't only want to have like polyglots, linguists, translators. I also want to have like broadly from different fields and know about their language education, and for example uh, how languages have been important for them. Like now I'm wondering what languages would benefit astrophysicists. But I think first we will talk in this podcast about you, Mariel Republic, Mari language, and then slowly talk about your education in university and later, and then about your career. But first, let's talk about Mari and the Mariel Republic. So the first question I have is, what's your hometown?
Hometown. Originally, I'm from the countryside. So if you look at our state, Mariel Republic, I am from kind of like eastern south side. The name of the district is Morkinsky district. Basically, this is a place where we speak, let's say, literature Mari language. And it's located something like 100 kilometers away from the capital of the land, which is Yoshkar-Ola. So then I would say the hometown, the capital of our republic is Yoshkar-Ola, but I was born and went to ground school in a village. So I'm originally from a countryside village, Kugu-Shurga, it's called. It's Kugu-Shurga.
Kubu-Shurga.
Kugu-Shurga.
Kugu-Shurga.
Yeah. Went to school into the neighboring village, which is called Asip Sola or Toymet Sola. So there are very close villages. And then moved to the capital of the land to finish the middle and high school principal.
And how far was the other city? So
Shurga.
How many people live there?
Hundreds
or thousands?
No, it's really tiny. When I were kid, like I don't know, 10 years old, 6 years old, maybe there were like 50, 70 people, not more. And also it really depending on the season, because for winter time, for example, several families took their grandmas and grandfathers to live in a in a town, in more convenient, less more convenient environment, I would say. And now, unfortunately, over last 20, 25 years of basically current Russian government, I see a really strong degradation. And unfortunately, my parents now, I think since roughly 2013, they are not living there anymore. They moved toward, let's say that way, much more close to the civilization. And maybe later on, I will explain why I said it exactly in that way. Anyways, so currently, I think there are something like 10 maybe people living, or even less.
Oh wow! And
it's almost dead village, unfortunately.
And the village nearby, how far is it from Kugushurga?
No, this is a Kugushurga is a village, exactly. This is a village. But my parents are living something like 10 kilometers away, another of 10 kilometers. And this is already on a kind of like a highway.
Yeah.
So it's much more easy to go for shopping, for example, or to the capital of Mari Republic. Because before it was really complicated, and this is a like separate topic that we can also discuss.
Yeah. Are your parents originally from Kugushurga, or your parents and grandparents, for example?
My parent. It depends on. Okay, let's start in that way. So there are Mari people in different lands across Russia. Of course, most of the people who speak Mari, they live in Mari Republic, but there are groups living in the neighboring lands, for example, in the Kirov region, Vyatka region, it's a bit north, towards the north. Then there is also Bashkortostan region. And there are a couple of districts where people also speak Mari, and historically, if I remember correctly, several hundred years ago they moved. Some group of this Mari ethnic group moved toward east, and they still somehow were able to keep the language, but they have their own, let's say, Eastern Mari dialect. So place where I came from, we speak literature Mari. You would say Hoch. There is a Hochdeutsch, for example.
Yeah.
And we have Hoch Mari kind of.
Okay. Is it Hill Mari or Meadow Mari? I found there are like four main dialects, and Hill Mari and Meadow Mari are like some.
What are two others? Because I don't know what are English.
I think the others were East Mari and Northwestern. I don't know, some.
Okay, I would say then the Middle Mari. I would say the Middle Mari.
Yeah.
The Middle Mari. So my mother came from Bashkortostan. She is Eastern, I would say, Mari. And her grandmother and your father, also my grandmother and grandfather from her side, and from father's side they are from this village in principle.
And so currently most of Mari people live in Mari El Autonomous Republic.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right.
And how much are there? I saw the statistics, but I have heard that you can't rely or believe that much the statistics in Russia. But according to statistics, Mari is the fourth biggest Uralic language after Hungarian, Finnish, Estonian. I saw a number of 300,000. Do you think there are that many native speakers, or is it less, or is it impossible to say?
The problem is that I'm not living in Mari Republic permanently since 2014, so I a bit lost track of that. But there are some trends. Maybe these numbers were close to the reality maybe 10 years ago. But the trend is when I'm speaking with my parents, of course, we are speaking Mari. I got an impression that in a village they are living, there is a trend that in families, when kids are born, they try to speak more Russian than Mari. Unfortunately, this is a kind of like a trend. I've heard many times already. When I were a kid, we always have been speaking with my friends in Mari. I don't remember really using a Russian one to speak within the village. And when my parents moved to this new place, it's called Korkatovo. It's much larger village. I remember it was something like 2010, maybe 2008. During summertime, we've been playing soccer, and I remember we've been speaking Mari. And last years, I more and more hear from parents and relatives that the trend is that more and more kids that were born in the village speak Russian.
So you spoke only Mari with your parents?
Yeah. It's my native. Yes, with relatives, with my brother, with my sister. Yeah.
And what's your birth year?
Sorry.
When were you born? Which year?
Which year? My birthday. Okay, it's 1990. 1990.
Oh, okay, the same as mine. 1990.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I think it's important to know the birth year, because these things are changing already. And for example, my commie guest told that his youngest brother started speaking more Russian with like family and friends. So, what languages did your parents and grandparents and siblings, what languages can they speak besides Mari and Russian?
My father speaks only Mari and Russian, and my father's side. But my mother's side, they also speak Tatar, because Bashkortostan is kind of like a mixture of Tatar culture and dominating, I would say, and mixed with some fraction of Mari. So usually they got speak from childhood time 2 languages, Mari and Tatar.
Okay.
In addition, my mother, she's a teacher of English in a high school, in middle school, but she also got, so she speaks English, but she also got used to learn German as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard it was more common in the Soviet time to learn German. When did you start learning foreign languages, or when did you start learning Russian? Was Russian your first language at school that you started learning?
The problem is I don't remember really. I think I started speaking from my childhood time because I had a lot of cousins, uncles, visiting us, especially during summertime, and they got used to speak to me using Russian basically, and somehow I learned it. I don't remember really. I started reading in Russian also before I went to high school. Not so high school, sorry, to the ground school. And in the ground school, for me, it was really, really easy to learn Russian, basically. But of course, I didn't know any rules, how cases, how you basically change word depending on the case. So I didn't know all that stuff. But to speak, I didn't have any problems really. But I should notice that some of my classmates, they had serious problems because they've been speaking only Mari.
Yeah, and elementary school was the teaching was in Russian only, or was it mixed Mari and Russian, or only Russian?
I think we've learned everything on Mari except Russian lessons.
Oh,
despite we had Russian books, if I remember correctly.
So you might maybe had Russian books, but the teacher spoke in Mari and taught
Mari, yes, explaining some stuff like elementary math for classmates. Yeah, it was, I think, really challenging to learn math and also in Russian.
Yeah,
in a foreign language.
Yeah, and can you remember when you started English? Was it in elementary school, high school?
I would say I had learned some sentences, some words when I were before going to the elementary school from my parents, just as a practicing.
Yeah.
But I would say seriously, I started learning English maybe when I think it was starting of the middle school. So I were 11 at that time.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
And in school, did you have any chances to pick optional languages besides English?
No. There were no option. Really, only English.
Yeah.
And despite that, almost everybody from my vicinity have been asking, like, why do you need this English? Come on, I will stay Russia. I will speak Russia. Why should I waste time for
Yeah.
English? I would like to do sport, play soccer or whatever. So, and
Yeah.
my mother even now always hears from time to time
Yeah.
such kind of like complaints coming.
Oh, really?
Students. Yeah.
Yeah. But what did you think about it? Did you like learning English?
For me, it was kind of easy, and we had a really nice teacher. She was caring a lot. She was trying to explain things nicely. Sometimes giving extra material, not only what was in the books. It was at least in the middle school. Then unfortunately I have changed school and decided to study more deeply physics and math. And there it was a bit tough to me because in the middle school, I somehow all studying was really easy to me, and the school was mostly oriented on studying arts. So basically, I would say during morning lessons, we've been studying like the basic subjects like math, languages, and after afternoon we had lessons related to arts, like drawings, I don't know, painting, and a few years later we had also even doing sculptures, as well as doing some cuts from in wood, basically. Also. But I decided that I'm not good really in that field, and I more like math, astronomy, physics, and that was a decision why I basically moved to another school and spent last 3 years in a high school really oriented in this natural science field.
It was still in the same village, or you?
No.
Different.
So I should give a bit of context, of course. So the first 4 years of elementary or ground school, I went to a village school. It was roughly 2 kilometers away. We didn't have any asphalt road. So during winter season, you cannot reach the village using car.
Yeah.
So it was a very narrow walking path from two ends of the village where basically students were going. And the road, the path, I would say, was going through the field, then a bit of forest. It was very typical when you wake up early morning, there is a strong blizzard or snowfall, and there is no road. So what you usually do, what usually I've been doing, I've been taking cross-country skis to go to school.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking to ask you.
Yeah, this is what I got used to do. Otherwise, you really cannot go. There is no path. And we have also wolves, really living in the forest, all these like wild animals. Just can tell you one story maybe.
Sure.
So I were in elementary school. It was, I think, the first year basically. And instead of waiting for my parents, my father, he's also teacher, but teacher of history. But they were teaching in a middle and in a high school. So I were a bit lazy to wait for them. And I decided to go home alone. So it was strong snowfall that you can see farther than 10 meters, basically. So everything is white. So I were going with my cross-country skis. I came home alone, and like half an hour later, my father came and like asked me, like, son, have you seen any animals along your way home? I was like, no. And he's like, did you look behind you? I said, like, no. Why are you asking? And he said, look, on top of your path, there were, it seems like a wolf has been walking just behind you.
Oh, oh no.
And then you reached area of the garden, he turned towards the forest.
Wow, you were so lucky. You didn't even notice the wolf.
Yeah. Once my parents were leaving also home to go to school, they met a wolf just sitting on this walking path during one of the winter seasons.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was just sitting and,
Yeah.
without any reaction. But we
Oh my
got
God.
used. Yeah. And in order to survive, I mean, we got used to do that already. We always, for that kind of cases, had a small kind of like a firework that
Yeah.
you can really burn, and it scares animals.
Yeah.
So 4 years went in that kind of regime.
Yeah.
Then I moved to study to Yoshkar-Ola, which is a capital of our Mari El Republic, and spent 4 years studying in this School of Arts, and then moved to a polytechnical, I think it's called polytechnical license. Yeah, with deep learning of math and physics for the last 3 years.
Yeah. What interested you in math and other sciences? Because I think also math and physics are also a language of like the universe.
That's very nice description. I would say that's absolutely, you are absolutely right concerning the language of the universe. Why? It's just my interest from childhood time. My father got to do some modeling of remote control tanks, some basically kites as well, and somehow I were interested on this kind of stuff. And while my friends were playing somewhere in the streets, I were more interested in reading some books about technique, machines, aircrafts, and building at home gliders, kites, and that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's coming from my childhood time. I were always interested on that field, how everything works, why aircrafts are flying, what's going on in space. My father, I remember, once brought from school a small telescope, and we have been doing observations, and it was really interesting and exciting.
And after high school, did you stay in Yoshkar-Ola and study astronomy in the university?
No, there unfortunately, I think there is no even astronomy. There are only a few universities where you can really learn astronomy. No, I moved to Moscow and studied in the Moscow State University. This is, I think, the best place, at least at that time, were the best place in Russia to really study astronomy with a really good scientific school with a good reputation at that time.
Yeah. Did you notice some change in your surroundings, because you were until that point in a Mariel speaking environment, and then you were in Moscow in a huge city?
This is a very good question. I should notice. I've been thinking about that a lot when even I moved to Germany, how I've been behaving. But I think in order to describe the whole picture, I should come a bit to the middle school time.
Sure.
Because in the school where I've been studying arts, it was kind of like a place where you are living and you are studying. And I saw my parents only during holidays, which were very rare. And basically all my classmates were across the whole Mari El Republic studying arts. And I've noticed that when I moved to this environment, of course, we had people speaking only Russian, not Mari. And I don't know, maybe it sits somewhere in the mentality. You kind of like afraid to really speak Mari or freely when everybody can hear you, because again, it's coming from culture of the time, like, people are from village, not educated, you know.
Yeah.
It was dictated basically in the TV as well, because at that time I remember there were TV shows and also some funny stories about, for example, Chukotka people, Chukchas. This is my ethnic group living in
Sakhalin.
yeah, somewhere there, yes, far east. Or people who came from Tajikistan, for example, to work to Moscow as Gastarbeiters. They were always making a lot of jokes, very rude. So always showing their low level, I would say. And since Mari people also I'm also came from village. I also somehow felt that, and I really felt ashamed. I remember the time when mom came to basically take me to holidays. We were in Yoshkar-Ola. I remember we've been walking, and she speaks to me, Marie. But I somehow feel like, everybody will look at me. It's like, Marie came from a village. Look at this stupid guy. Then I really were trying to speak Russian because of it. But this feeling, this scariness increased when I moved to Moscow, because, like, you know, Moscow is like capital. Everybody tries to come. And it was a strong kind of like a pressure coming from me, from the society. But I should notice, not from my not from our group from the university, not from friends from the university. It's basically from the society, like from how Moscow lives. I really felt this kind of feeling, which was really horrible, I would say. When I moved, and even when we've been living in a room during my studying in middle school, I remember one of my friends, he was from a neighboring village. I remember that he has been speaking Mari, but when his mom came, he always were answering using Russian one. I never seen him speaking publicly Mari, only privately with her mother, surprisingly.
In the university you studied then, was it physics or astrophysics?
So it was a faculty of physics, but then department of astrophysics.
Yeah. And 5 years, was it 5 or 6 years?
5.5 years.
Yeah.
And then I've got PhD position. I won a stipend at the university, the Max Planck University, and I was affiliated. I've been working there, and we're a part in the Heidelberg University in Germany.
Yeah. During your university time, did you have like English lessons or any other language lessons during that time?
We had English lessons at the time, but they were mostly focused on scientific English, because, I mean, we are learning physics, astrophysics. We got to read a lot of papers, and they are mostly in English, of course, to know terminology. So that was like expected. And I remember even books, it was like English book for physicists.
Yeah. Okay. So how was your English level when you arrived in Germany?
I would say not really good. I would say it was something like B1, maybe B2.
Yeah.
For me, it was really hard sometimes to understand the native speakers, because there are accents, especially British accent, like, oh my God, it was so hard to really understand. I've been asking more and more to repeat questions. With basically people for whom English was not native, I basically didn't have any problems speaking. It was more like a psychological, I think I would say, barrier somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It took for me like maybe 1.5 hours to really feel free and get rid of any pressure. I remember that time because I had an office mate in Heidelberg during my PhD time. She was from Ireland, and she had like speaking Irish accent, and then she moved to US, to California, and I remember she came at some point to visit Heidelberg, And I really liked, I mean, she had already more like an English accent,
Yeah.
but I like this pronunciation.
Yeah.
It sounded so nice. Like, oh my God. And then I realized like I don't have now any problems understanding native speakers. It was really good. And basically then I improved my English just talking to people, basically. Unfortunately, I cannot say any like serious grammar constructions. It's not in my memory. Maybe I got learned to it because I've been speaking a lot. Yeah, that's it.
You arrived 2014 in Germany.
To Germany, yeah.
Yeah, first in Heidelberg and then Göttingen.
Since 2018 in Göttingen, yeah.
Okay, so 4 years in Heidelberg and then the past 5 years in Göttingen.
Yeah.
Have you needed German, and in what point did you start learning German? Or
in principle, Heidelberg, it was like an international city, student city, so everybody have been speaking basically English. I didn't have any problems, and at that time, unfortunately, I was very busy doing my PhD. It was a totally new field for me. It was not totally new environment, even Western. Maybe it sounds very rough, but it was kind of like a Western approach to the work.
Yeah.
It's like it was totally different environment to me because I think when I've moved to Germany, I still had very, let's say, strong Soviet academic experience, which is totally different from the Western one. And I honestly like more Western approach of after all these years being there. So I were very busy doing my PhD, honestly. So I really seriously started learning German when I got job in Germany. So when I moved to Göttingen, basically, I decided that now I don't have to do my PhD, so it's more relaxed time. I do my research in a more relaxed way, and I really just spent time really learning that. I focused to get at least B1 in a couple of years, basically, and I think I've managed it.
Yeah.
And now I'm really enjoying when in shops or somebody is broken and techniker comes, I'm trying to use German and it feels so nice. Oh my God, I like it. So I'm usually using English only with my colleagues when we are talking about science, but when I'm outside, when I'm in a shop or in some, I don't know, bouldering house, for example, I'm doing bouldering, I'm trying to use German. It's not super perfect, but I'm happy that I can explain stuff, people understand me, and really patient. I appreciate that German people see that I'm trying to speak the language, and I really feel the respect. I really like it. And from time to time, I also speak with my German colleagues as well, German.
I've been also actually in Heidelberg in 2015. My school from business administration faculty, we visited Heidelberg, and I can imagine that it's such a like international place that there are so many students that maybe there's not that much motivation to start learning German if you also have your PhD and all the people around you speak also English. I wanted to ask, what was your PhD about?
It was basically about, let's say in a simple way, I will say it in a simple way and then in real physical terms. So I have been analyzing and modeling, basically doing computations, solving complicated equations to describe, to understand how light propagates through a pulsating stellar atmosphere. So, for example, the sun is oscillating, but there are stars, they called for example, RR Lyras or Cepheids, these are type of stars.
Okay.
They have really large amplitude of radial pulsations, and they radii can change up to 10% with a period of like half day or tenths of days or even longer. So they are really expanding, becoming cooler, a bit more red. Then when they are compressing, they become brighter, and this is like stationary, kind of like a not stationary, like steady state, kind of like oscillations with a almost constant period. And I've been modeling how light basically escapes through this pulsating, then convecting plasma. Because what we are seeing in the sky, we see a lot of these kind of stars. They are quite important to measure, for example, distances in the universe. They are used so-called standard candles, also we call. They, because, for example, using of them also, we can really measure distances up to really far galaxies. We also analyzing light from these stars can understand a lot of about chemical composition of our galaxy. So this is really important stellar population. And of course, when you analyze light, there is an effect coming from dynamics. And in order to measure precisely chemical elements using spectral analysis, one has to understand how these spectra, how the spectrum has been formed, in which conditions, what is the impact of these pulsations. Saying more scientifically, it was about two-dimensional radiational hydrodynamical simulations of pulsating stellar atmospheres and spectroscopic analysis.
Yeah, so that was the title of your PhD.
Kind of, yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got it. I actually studied before medicine, so I had to learn a lot about physics. So I really had to study a lot of physics and chemistry.
Interesting.
And I've been also reading afterwards, more like just for fun, about all the stuff in the space, about how to measure things and how things work, and why Venus is rotating in the different direction, and like all different stuff. It's really fascinating to me as well. Anyways, your PhD was it done in 2018 when you moved to Göttingen?
Yeah. I basically finished my PhD, and at the time I had like half a year contract. And at that time, this time it was really tough because I've been applying for jobs, and likely for postdoctoral positions, so-called. And I likely got a position here in Göttingen. Yeah, and it was really easy to move.
Yeah.
But I'm working now in a bit different topic.
Okay. Before you tell about what, can you tell if are there a lot of jobs for astrophysicists? If you have a PhD, is it easy in Germany, for example?
I think so. It depends on which level you have to go. If you want to get a professor position of the professor, basically permanent, let's say this way, permanent job in academia, this is really hard to get.
Okay.
The statistics is the following. So from 100 PhD students, in principle, something like 5 or 3% only get jobs in academia as professors. Unfortunately, the rest has to leave to leave academia to go to industry.
Yeah.
But from going to industry, it's not really a problem because we got used to do a lot of analysis. We are working with the data, and I have a lot of friends who moved to industry doing some machine learning, data science, because in principle, what I'm currently doing is also kind of like a data science, not really machine learning, but really data science, some software development as well, but for scientific purposes. And it's basically applying kind of like the same statistical methods, but in the industry for basically business data.
Yeah.
So I don't see any problems, and I'm not really scared if due to some reason at some point I should leave academia.
Yeah. And if you're an astrophysicist with a PhD, is there any advantage of learning more languages than English? Because I assume English, I mean, with English you can go anywhere in the world, but is there any advantage if you know some particular languages?
Oh, I don't know, but I think it's nice to learn Spanish if you are going to work somewhere in Chile, for example, a few years as or in France. I don't know why, but I heard from my ex-colleagues. One guy, he was from UK, and after his PhD, he has been working in Paris, and he had serious problems when he has been trying to register in the city and this kind of stuff because nobody speaks English.
Yeah. That reminded me about one other interesting question when you said Chile, because I know in Chile the Atacama Desert is so dry that you can see the stars really well. If you want to work as an astrophysicist in a really beautiful, epic place, what are the number one or top 5 places around the world where people want to go and work?
You know, this is a nice romantic view of a work of astronomer or astrophysicist. There are now I would say astronomers are working in the offices in front of the computer. Unfortunately, all romantic time when you take your telescope, you know, you travel somewhere far away from the civilization. Unfortunately, these are in the past time, really.
Oh, okay.
Most of us, unfortunately, we are working in front of our computers, doing serious coding for the data analysis, you know, making a lot of plots. Some of us also writing a lot of equations to do some estimates. There are different approaches. Even with observations now, you don't have to really travel far away. There are remote observations, or you are applying, for example, you write a proposal to do observations on the largest telescope somewhere located in Chile. You just write what kind of targets to observe, and people who are working in the observatory, like engineers, they basically do that stuff. So in some cases, you can travel there. And some of my friends who has been doing observations for their PhD in Chile, in Atacama, they traveled there, but they do not do really all the observations. So there is always a person from the observatory itself doing this kind of control. In many cases now, there is even a remote control, and there is only an engineer who is checking that everything is working properly, and engines or stuff that rotates a dome, you know, works correctly.
Oh, okay. So astrophysicists can be anywhere. The engineers run the machines, the observatories. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyways, what are the best observatories in the world? I've heard in Hawaii, and is it Canary Islands also? They have
that's
good
true.
ones.
It depends on what kind of wavelengths we are talking about. If you are talking about, I think, if we are talking about optical astronomy with in a visual light, then of course you're absolutely right. These are Canary Islands. There is an observatory on Tenerife and a bigger observatory on La Palma.
Okay.
So these are really nice places due to the climate conditions. Basically, very low height of clouds, low basically, and large number of clean sky nights over the year. And the atmosphere itself very transparent. Plus, there is no pollution because there is, I mean, La Palma is surrounded by ocean, basically. There is no light pollution.
Yeah.
Then Hawaii, definitely. Then also Atacama Desert in Chile. And what else? I think maybe somewhere in South Africa there is an area, but I'm not really familiar with that. This is what about optical astronomy. Then there is kind of like a radio astronomy. For that, for example, Australia is the best place because Australia deserts are really far away from the civilization and there is no strong pollution by the radio waves.
Yeah.
Then maybe some areas in Africa. Plus, I think also in Chile, in Atacama Desert, there are also remote places where is no very dry air conditions, and one can observe also in short microwave and short radio wave band. Yeah, this I think this is. And of course, there is also one place. It's in Antarctica, basically. To do some, I think it's called far infrared astronomy. It was an experiment. It's called BICEP that has been trying to measure. Sorry for the terrible terminology. For the polarization of the cosmic microwave background. The station was located in Antarctica. And I think also Antarctica is nice for the radio observations. You remember, maybe you've seen several years ago, the Event Horizon Telescope showed the first picture of the black hole. And one of the dishes of this radio telescope, it's like a huge network of the radio telescope across the whole world. And one instrument, if I remember correctly, were even in Antarctica. And it took several months to deliver hard drive from a computer with the data.
Okay, wow. And are there also many in the space or in the orbit?
Yeah, of course. Mainly now, of course, we are trying, if you want to make really high precision measurements, for example, to search for planets around other stars, it's better to send the telescope to space, of course, because we don't have any pollution except the sun, but there are nice shields, and you just do not look at the sun, you look at other directions. The current basically perspective is to move to space, as well as, for example, James Webb Telescope. You've seen already perhaps many pictures. Yeah, he's also working in space. Yeah.
I want to return a bit to Mari language and culture. I have used one online dictionary or translator. It's called Neurotölga. It's Estonian.
Neurotölga.
I don't know have you heard about it? It's like Google Translate, but it's for Uralic languages. They have around 20 to 30 languages, and
only.
Yeah, because it's mostly to Uralic languages.
But not Uralic. Sorry, I'm mixing it with the Finno-Ugric. Sorry, because there are around 42. Total.
Okay. No, they don't have all the Uralic language, but like the biggest ones. And I have now here 7 sentences, so I will try to read them, and you can then correct how to say them. But first, you can try to guess what I try to say. I have, in some cases, 2 different versions: Hill Mari and Meadow Mari.
I do not really speak and do not understand Hill, I should say.
Okay.
But try.
Let's try. Okay, first one is Silan Shulevu. Silan Shulevu. Hello, everyone.
This is a Hill version, maybe.
Yeah, Hill. Yeah, they didn't have for Meadow Mari. It gave in Russian because it's still in development.
In Middle Mari, you should say Salam Lige.
Salam.
Salam. It's also used in Tatar language.
Yeah.
Or in Kazakhstan, for example, because Mari was before Ivan Grozny, Ivan IV. It's a Russian Tsar, came to colonize Volga and Ural area. Mari was kind of like a state a part of the Volskaya Bulgaria. This is a Tatar kind of like a kingdom at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
And because of that, salam came from Tatar language.
Yeah.
So salam, yeah, liže. Okay.
Liže, everyone.
To kind of like a to be.
Oh, okay. But I try to say hello everyone. Is it still salam liže? Hello everyone.
Hello everyone. One can say different way. Usually we say just salam, like hello, or if you want to say everyone, then you say salam, then you say chalalan.
Salam chalalan.
Chalalan. So it's like it's kind of like if I transfer, chala means like all or everybody. And lan is like ending because it's dative.
Dative case. Okay. Dative I understand. Yeah. Finnish has we have 15 cases. I think Mari has only 9 or 8.
Unfortunately, I feel really shame. I don't remember really.
Yeah. I just read like a while ago before our conversation, so I saw it was less than 10. So for me, understanding the case endings it's easy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, the second one. Muyun lum. Muyun. Oh wait, my writing is bad here. Muyun lum. I don't know what letter this is. It's my own handwriting. I don't understand anymore. Is it? Okay, now I know. Muyun lumem Christian.
My name is Christian. So Mayan means my, lumem, lum with it's German. It's called umlaut.
Umlaut,
So lum means name.
And
Christian.
And m is like the possessive suffix, I guess.
I don't remember really. Is it really suffix? I think it's just ending because of the case. One of the cases again. M.
Muyun is my.
Yes. Right? But again, it's not my. My means I. But un again, it's ending.
Yeah.
My. M.
Can you, in Mari, can you leave the M? Like, can you say Muyun lum?
In principle, yes. But it sounds a bit strange.
Okay, because in Finnish, my is minun.
Minun,
Yeah, almost similar. Muyun, minun. And name is Nimi. And my name, minun nimeni on Christian. But you can say just shorter. Instead of minun, you can say mun. And instead of nimeni, nimi, just in the infinitive, but like minun nimi on Christian. You don't need the possessive suffix. And it was also the same in komi. My guest said that you can have the possessive suffix or leave it. So
you also can. You can also say Mayan lim Valera. That's
okay, so then it's because in Finnish it's more colloquial to say mun nimi or minun nimi on Christian. But when you write, it's minun nimeni.
Yeah, that's true.
Then next one. Finlandi güç ulam.
I am from Finland.
Yes.
Finlandi güç ulam.
Finlandi güç ulam.
Güç means from, basically. Ulam means like came from or be. Yes. Not come. Come, it's more like Finlandi güç Tolonam, if you really say come.
Okay.
I would say Finlandic ulam. Ulam is like more like be. I would say.
Okay. In Finnish, it's olen.
Ulan. Wow.
Ulam, olen. So again, a bit something similar.
Yeah.
But in Finnish, this would be minä olen Suomesta.
Suom.
Yeah, you can say minä olen Suomesta.
Minä lea Suomesta.
Minä olen.
Minä olen
Suomesta.
Suomesta.
Yes, Suomi is the country, and sta is the guch, like
guch.
from. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, next one. Shochmo Julmem Fin.
Shochmo Julmem Fin.
Shochmo Julmem Fin.
Yes, it means my native language is Finnish.
Yeah. In Finnish, that would be minun äidinkieleni on suomi.
But Suomi, is it really Finnish or it's like a separate language? Both.
Suomi is both the language and the country. It's also the same with like almost any language and country. But we write countries with big capital letter, but the language is with small letters. Okay, I have a few more.
Yeah, sure.
Mui lapsolaste ilem.
Nice. My lapsolaste ilem. So I'm living in Lapsola. So Lapsola, it sounds like a village.
I tried here in Hilmari. It said Laplandish, because Lapland. It translated in Hilmari Laplandiste.
Laplandieste, I would say.
Laplandieste. But in Medomari Lapsolaste. Maybe there was some. It was probably an error here.
I'm not sure, because sola always kind of like a suffix related when you say a village. For example, we have in Mari villages, for example, Osip sola, Lapla sola, then Toimet sola. These are all ending with sola. It means like I think referring kind of like not really village, but place where like groups of people living.
Isn't it Sela in Russian? Sela?
Selo, yes. Selo in Russian, it means selo, village.
Yeah. So you're not sure how to translate Lapland in.
I would say Laplandiiste.
Yeah. That sounded, that looked more correct, but yeah. Sometimes they have some small mistakes because they are still developing it. And next one. Mui kumlo kok iash ulam.
I'm 32 years old. My kumlo kok iash ulam. Yeah.
Mui kumlo kok iash ulam. Yeah. Minä olen 32-vuotias.
Oh, that was so fast.
In Finnish, yeah. Minä olen.
Ulan?
Ulam. Yeah, olen. Yeah. 32. Kolme. 30.
32. Kymmentä kum.
Yeah, it's 20, 30, and then it's kymmentä. 10 is kymmenen, but so 32.
32.
Vuotias.
Vuotias.
It's like years old.
Years old.
Yeah. And the last one I have here is Moi yılmın tunemaş yöratem.
Nice sentence. I like learning languages. Mai yalmam tunemaş yöratem.
Moi yalmam tunemaş yöratem.
Yöratem, yeah.
Yöratem.
Yöratem, yeah.
Göratem. Are those hard for Russian speakers? Ö, ä, ü.
I think so, but there is one more actually that you haven't mentioned. It's
Ung.
I can draw. I think
Okay.
I can draw it. I think if you don't mind here, right in the in Zoom, if you don't mind, I can show you how it looks like.
Yeah.
Is it possible, or can
can you write it down? Do you have paper? You can show it here. I think I don't know how to.
Just
put
a
that
second. I think it's called annotate. Okay, no, sorry, I don't see. Don't know why. I can see here in Zoom. Maybe because these are settings of the chat. I cannot unfortunately draw.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to. Yeah, I wasn't prepared to this, so maybe.
No problem. No problem. Just give me a second.
Yeah. Sure.
I will show you.
Sure.
You don't mind if I share the screen?
I can try. I haven't used Zoom that much, but
I can show you. I will just request for shortly. I will show you the alphabet, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to maybe explain.
Let's try.
A couple of interesting characters. Just a second. Let me to open to share. Okay. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Then what I will do, I will send you a link to the image. Okay, I'm sending you in the chat of Zoom.
Okay.
So if you open Zoom, there is a link to alphabet of Mari.
Yeah.
So do you see O and Ö?
Yeah, I can see.
And what character before O? How you would read it?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Let me. So for people who are wondering, it's a bit like this.
Yes.
I think now we can do so that I will say. I will start by saying one, and I will say in Finnish one, and you will just say after that in Mari.
Okay.
Yksi.
Ikat. Or ik.
Okay. Kaksi.
Kokot or kok.
In Finnish, kaksi or kaks.
Cox.
Yeah. 3. Kolme.
Kumot or shorter kumot. Kum.
Yeah. 4. Neljä.
Not.
Yeah, but a bit similar there. 5. Viisi or these.
Viisat.
6. Kuusi or kuus.
Kuudot.
7. Seitsemän or seittemän.
Samat.
8. Kahdeksan or kahdeksan.
Kandashe or kandash.
9. Yhdeksän or yhdeksän.
Indeshe or indesh.
10. Kymmenen.
Totally different. We say lu.
Oh, yeah. But I think most of the numbers you could see something similar.
Yeah.
Especially the first couple of letters.
Yeah.
I think it 4 or 5 were very.
5. Visit.
VC. Yeah, these.
But I think, but these, it's clear that you see pattern because of the same language group, of course. But Finnish basically group is evolving already for a long time, like, separately. The same with Estonian, the same with Hungarian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was around 2,000-3,000 years ago. I can't remember the precise years.
Yeah.
Now I have here a few more examples. I will say the word in Finnish, and you will try to guess what.
Okay, let's try.
Okay, first one, muna.
Muno? So is it egg?
Yeah, egg.
Oh my God! Wow. Muno, we say.
Yeah. Lumi.
Sorry, could you say again?
Lumi.
Loom, snow?
Yeah, snow. Luu.
Loo. Ah, okay. Bone?
Bone.
Loo?
Puu.
Poo. Wood, basically.
It's here it's a tree. But
tree.
also wood, the material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We say more respect to the material, basically.
Tuli.
Tool?
Tuli. Yeah.
Fire.
Exactly. Then I have a few that are a bit more difficult. They are not as easy as those were. Sula. This is a verb. Sula.
To prolong. Shua.
What's that in English?
To prolong.
No. To melt.
Shula.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's also true. Yes.
Yeah. Then kylmä.
Kolma.
Yeah.
What's the English word? I forgot.
Cold.
Yeah, cold. Yeah.
Kala.
Could you say again?
Kala.
Kala.
In the water, there are a lot of.
Kala.
You can eat this as well.
Okay. Kol.
Yeah.
So it means fish.
Fish.
Yeah. Is it singular? Did you use singular or
singular?
Kola. Yeah. Okay.
Sudan. Okay, this is probably much harder.
Sudan?
Yeah, it's an organ in the human body. This is quite different already, but
could you say again?
Sudan.
Shoulder, maybe?
Heart.
Shim. We say shim.
Yeah, that's quite different already.
Yeah.
Purra. This is a verb. Purra.
We have a verb in Mari. It's called purash. Pura. So which means like you are entering into building or.
Isn't it to bite?
To bite?
To bite. Purra.
As well as to bite. Purash. Yes.
Yeah.
Purash. It has two different meanings. Yes.
Yeah, and the last one. Oh no, järvi. This is a place in the nature.
I think forest, maybe chodara, what we say. No? Järve. What we have? We have olok, enger, vasu.
Kalat elävät järvessä. Kalat uivat järvessä. Järvessä on vettä.
Ojar. So means clear or
lake.
Yer.
Yeah, järvi, jer.
Järvi, yeah, okay, yer.
And the last one isn't that clear, but I will give also the genitive. So käsi, and the genitive is käden.
Käsi, käden.
Everyone has one of these, or two of these actually.
Kidem, hands.
Yeah. Hand, käsi. genitive kadin.
Kadin sounds similar to Mari. Kidem, but kidem, it means like it's one hand. In order to do it non-singular, usually you add just a suffix of vlak if or shamach. For example, if you say a tree, it will be pushenge, and you want to say many trees, you say pushenge vlak.
Okay.
But vlak you are using, I think, for things that are not alive. And if you want to say, for example, about kids, you say yochan. This is just a kid. If there are many, you say yocha shamach.
And I think the final section is maybe mentioning something about Mari culture and some other questions. So what do you think, what people should know about Mari culture? What's typical to Mari, and maybe something about the Mari history that comes into your mind?
I think the most important point that Mari, we have historically very special religion. We are pagans. Currently, there are not much of people, of course, because Orthodox Church is kind of like dominating. But there are still villages, and for example, a friend of mine, he is also in Germany. I think they are really pagans. So I didn't ask him too much about this because this is a very private thing. But he has mentioned that he and his family, they still try to keep it. Unfortunately, in my case, my grandmother has been doing some also rituals, going into, so we are usually going to forest. There are special places for prayers. There are special trees where people try to put kind of like a piece of material. And I remember when we were a kid, it was, I think, late spring, when I saw many grandmas, grandfathers dressed on Marine National's like suit. They have been serving a huge table in close to the quite alone big tree close to our village, and also putting material on the branches of the tree. But unfortunately, I don't remember much. I was like 4 maybe years old. So we are pagans. I think this is a important thing to keep. There is a certain hierarchy of basically gods on different levels. I think the top god is Oshkugu Yumo, it's called. There is also quite interesting mythology related to that. We were, especially place where I came from, one of legends is coming. We had a special kind of like it's not really barbarians, I would say. These are like mythological creatures. We called them Ovda. You can Google it, find it in your free time. It's very interesting. Ovda, it's called. You can. It's really. We had very scary stories, and when I were a kid, in order to send me to bed, my mom were telling me all these stories, like if you walk alone during night in the street, you will likely caught by Ovda, so be careful.
Can you describe quickly what kind of creatures the
Ovda these are basically have been living not so far away from my village. We had a kind of like hill, we call it Karman Kuruk in our language. We think that this is really mountain, but it's more like a hill, but quite high in the vicinity of this area. And we had a kind of like a cave where they have been living. So these are people, not really people, mythological creatures, very looking kind of like similar to human, maybe a bit higher. They had really dark skin much more darker than mine, covered by layer of some layer of hairs, but not really dense.
Mhm.
They have been speaking Russian, Mari language, of course, but they were very like dangerous. They've been trying to hide horses, cows. They've been trying to, how should I put it? For example, just a second, I forgot this word. When, for example, some god tells you like you will never be successful, and it happens.
Okay.
So they were doing some magical stuff as well, and there are a number of legends, quite interesting. Then, concerning the history.
One question more. Did you learn about the mythology from your parents?
Yes, I learned a lot because my father, he is a teacher of history and he has collected a lot of stuff, but he knows much more than me. Unfortunately, I have to remind myself, and I has asked him to write a small book special to me, just to keep all these stories what he knows, and he's still in process. Yeah, this I would like to keep because this is really like unique thing. Yeah, father, then also my grandmother as well, from father's side. Because Eastern Mari, they have a bit different stories, and I think I'm not really familiar, but there are some common legends as well, of course.
Yeah.
Then regarding the history, basically Mari people were part of Volozhskaya Bulgaria. There's like a Tatar kind of like a kingdom. The capital was located in the Kazan city. Maybe you've heard, maybe you've not, which is the capital of Tatarstan. It's also 100 kilometers away where I came from. Mari people have been living in the forests, doing hunting, fishing, this kind of stuff. And were basically part of were as a state of Volozhskaya Bulgaria. And it seems like it was really peaceful living, peaceful life. What is interesting, in Mari language, Kazan city, if you translate it into English, it still means like an owner. Owner city, if you can translate it.
Okay, so in your variety of
Mari, like your boss city, like your owner city, something like this. Surprise! I have noticed it only recently, like this year. My brother told me, and due to the war in Ukraine, I've started more thinking about, Russian government politics, what happens in Ukraine, because I have many Ukrainian friends, and I've started really seriously thinking about this historical also context, because I really realized it was really colonization by war, organized by Russian Tsar, who was trying basically to colonize as much he can, moving toward east as well. And one of the goals was really to colonize this Ural, Volga River area, Volozhskaya Bulgaria as well. And according to the history, people from mountain part of Mari El decided to help Ivan Grozny. And said like, okay, we are under your control. We do everything what you want. And then for that, I remember from my childhood time, the middle Mari do not really like for that. There is still some friction with respect to the mountain Mari because of that.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately. Because middle Mari, they were under part of the Volozhskaya Bulgaria, and they didn't want to be part. They wanted to be independent on the Russian, basically, Russia, I would say.
Yeah.
And what was really like surprised me that, and unfortunately, I really didn't put attention when I was in middle school. to really look into the details of the history, but I really checked that in the end, a person from mountain mountain part of the Mariel Republic helped to basically destroy, to make a hole to set a TNT in the basement of the fortress in Kazan, and due to this explosion, basically the Kazan was became under the control of Moscow. And after that, I think the next 50, like 100 years, we had so-called Cheremis wars. Cheremis, this is an old name of Mari ethnic group. And Mari people from the middle part were fighting against basically control of the Moscow and against the colonization. I think over these 100 years, all spirits of Mari ethnic group trying to be independent somehow has disappeared.
Yeah. Do you mean the last 100 years or?
No, it was during 16th century.
Yeah.
And beginning of 17th century.
Yeah.
And after that, basically Mariel became part of Russian Empire. It was one maybe only good thing from concerning Soviet part, that somehow it has improved educational level in the villages. They built a lot of schools, which I think really good. People became more and more educated.
Yeah.
But now I more and more feel that this is a really dying language.
Yeah.
That's my unfortunate impression, because villages become smaller. It's a bit depressing, of course, towards the end of the podcast, come to that. And I really appreciate that you really got interested in the Mari culture. I think it's a nice chance to show people that basically this kind of ethnic group exists, and there are people speaking this language. Maybe people, the audience can also read a bit more about us.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to hear these from natives and not only read on Wikipedia or online.
That's true.
Forums. So that's why it was really interesting to hear from you. What do you hope? What would happen in the next 100 years, 200 years for Mari language? What do you think should be done so that it doesn't die out completely?
I think it will depend on really what will happen to Russia. I mean, I'm against the war. I am really supporting Ukrainian side. And I think that with the current Russian government and direction that they took, I am expecting to see a decay of Russia, basically. And since the Mariel Republic is not really rich, maybe it was rich, but most of the taxes that people are paying goes to Moscow and does not stay in the land. And because of that, any improvement, any repairments of highways or investment or any, investments to the infrastructure to attract more tourists, there is not much effort, unfortunately, currently going on that direction. People still feel shame. They're still afraid to speak Mari. They still don't feel that, that they are unique. This is unique language, also equal as Russian. You always feel that you are a minority. And I think during even current war, when I saw how many people, for example, were sent to this meaningless, terrible war from Mariel Republic, it was a large fraction, actually, because Russian government currently really tries to send many people as soldiers, tries to recruit people from minorities with their own languages, not only from Mari, from many other ethnic groups. There are many of those. And it's something like really sending people to genocide, honestly. This is terrible. And with the current course, I'm very pessimistic, unfortunately. If it will change and the Russia will be more like democratic country, then I hope states will be really like in the federation more independent. Taxes will stay within the land, and president of a state will not come from Russia. Will be really Mari person who are from this area, who speaks this language, who knows mentality of the people. I think we would have totally different picture. But unfortunately, last 20 years, this is not the case. All presidents of all national republics across the whole Russia, most of them came from Moscow. They are usually they are from team of Putin, basically, of killer Putin. So they don't know anything about the land where they're coming, where they are expecting to work. They don't know about mentality of the people. They just control financial currents, I would say. Unfortunately. And of course, most of the money goes to the countries, because from the place where I came from, there are, with these all legends, all this history, we have villages still popularizing, sharing this pagan religion. Before the war, before 2014, we had a lot of tourists actually coming from Finland as well, and from other countries, just to see how this culture is preserved. But the situation unfortunately become more and more worse. I should notice. So I'm only change to a democratic way and being more independent, saving taxes within the land might really help and make it touristically attractive place.
And
this is my hope.
Let's hope Mariel doesn't die out and we'll have speakers and culture in the future. One last question: how do you see your own future with the Mari language, using Mari language, living in Germany?
I am using it. I'm speaking with my parents, with my brother, by the way. He's also in Germany, so we are from time to time see each other. He also did his PhD in Germany. So we are seeing each other from time to time, speaking Mari with my parents, with my sister. I will keep speaking, as well as with my relatives. Then I have my nice friend from my middle school time. He is living not so far away from Göttingen in Braunschweig. And we are also, when we see each other, we speak Mari, because he's also from middle part of the Mari. So we are trying to do the best, basically.
That's great. I think I asked everything that I wanted. Is there still something you wanted to tell about anything?
I don't know. I don't have any further stuff. I just want to say, if you will have further questions, I'm pretty open. So you can write me. You can find me in internet. Just Google my name and write astronomy, and you will find my email to contact me.
I can include all the details you want, all the social media accounts, like here below in the description. So just send me an email, so I'll
I will
add those so people can contact you if they want.
And I'm open if you at some point will invite me again. So
Sure. Maybe next time in German, when you're ready.
Vielleicht könnten wir auch ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, nächstes Mal.
Vielleicht nächstes Jahr oder?
Vielleicht nächstes Jahr, okay. Let's keep in contact.
But thank you, and thanks for all the people who were listening this far, and see you in the next episode.
Ciao, ciao.